To the 24th day of July, 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation. This is a video that I make every morning live at about 5:30 a.m. here in Japan. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about yesterday and how I did with any interesting challenges or opportunities that I encountered, namely those that I either performed very well in or I didn't, so that I can learn from either. I go over the objectives of my creed, talk about one principle, and prepare for the coming day. But first, welcome to new subscribers to the channel. I'm glad you're here. Quick note in biography, I'm Kurt. I'm a 61-year-old American living here in Shizuoka City, Japan, right on the Satoyama edge of the countryside here in the Valley of Tea. I live here with my wife, Yumiko. We have a grown daughter who lives up in the Tokyo area, pursuing her life. I've been retired about 7 months now, and that comes up a lot in my videos. I talk a lot about this challenging transition from the workaday life, which is all I've ever known. Pretty much, if you lump in going to school, yes, feeling a lot like work. It's pretty much all I've known since I was a kid. And then to suddenly stop it all at once and be free is a witty and more challenging experience than I had ever imagined. So I do talk a lot about it because I'm struggling to find my way through, as odd as that sounds. How does one struggle with freedom? It's a thing. Freedom isn't easy. It sounds like a Bob Dylan song. Should be. Freedom isn't easy. Should be a Bob Dylan. Someone should write a song. Maybe Bruce Springsteen should write a song. Freedom ain't easy. Be careful what we wish for, right? But I think I'm doing well. Getting better too. Yesterday was a good day. I'll talk about that in just a second. I do keep notes throughout the day, so I'll refer to my notebook as I proceed. And I do read and respond to comments, but not until I'm done with this main soliloquy. Once I'm done to that, I'll read your comments. But you're welcome to leave any comment you like. By the way, like I said, this is a journal video, so I'm here to talk about myself and my own life. So, and I can talk about, there's as much latitude as I want. You won't hear me curse, but you might hear me talk about my own death. So just beware if that makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay, in the last 24 hours, there's two notes that I have here. One says managing feeling bad, and the other one says good, determined today, and then in parentheses, feels like work. I should have put a smiley face next to it. So let's review both of those. First, managing feeling bad. What I mean by that is that I felt good, and this doesn't mean I feel like I feel bad in a mental way. I feel bad physically. I overdid it again yesterday. Yesterday was a big day. It was a true day of work. Probably one of the most full days of work that I've had since retiring. Not only did I do all my normal stuff, awake at 4 a.m., did my edited and prepared the video for the Retiring in Japan series that chronicles the day before. That took me to 5:30. I did this at 5:30. Then I went and did radio exercise up the street with the neighbors. The morning exercise that we do here in Japan. Typically oldsters do it in the neighborhood. I'm one of them now. And then from there, after I came home, I did a product listing for my eBay store, an antique. Then I prepared 2 shipments, orders that I received over the weekend. I shipped one. The other one is sitting here ready to go today. I needed one more item to add to that order. I had prepared the shipment, but I hadn't closed the box yet because I have one more thing to add. A gift. It's for you, Jerry. If you see this video, you're one of my best customers, and so I wanted to add a special gift for you that I think you'll like. So I have to go buy it this morning. So Jerry's order is sitting here. So I shipped another customer's order and so I prepared that. That took me to 10 or 11ish. I then walked to the post office. That was my first foray into the heat, taking myself to the edge. Remember, this was about feeling bad, managing feeling bad. Yumiko was out with her dad, taking her dad to the clinic. My wife was taking her father to the clinic, which she does every Wednesday. So I didn't have the car, so I walked to the post office in the mid-morning. I thought I was okay in the heat, but didn't realize that's what I need to avoid. I need to avoid that midday exposure to the heat. Came back feeling kind of a little bit out of sorts after my visit to the post office. Then I walked down to Dad's house and had lunch with my wife and her father. We then drove back. Yumiko and I went out and did some shopping. I got some more boxes for shipping. So I found a nice sweet spot box that I want to get. So we went to the packing store. Came home and then I did another listing. This time was a product listing. A package of senbei that I wanted to ship. It was actually, Jerry, if you see this, it was a package of senbei that I bought specifically for you. It's my favorite senbei, and I bought it for you to add to your order. But then I realized before I ship it, if I take a quick photo of it, I can make a listing out of it. So I opened your bag, Jerry, and I hope that's okay, because I know that you're stocking up on tea because you've already got tea, so you're not in a hurry. So I went and opened your bag. Your gift gave me an idea to add another item to the store, and I couldn't send you an open bag, so I'm going to get you another bag today, a fresh bag, unopened. But then, so I was able to segue your gift into a product, and I lifted that senbei in the store. So my favorite senbei of all, the black soybean senbei, is now listed on my eBay store. I'm not listing the senbei. I listed katori senko. I'm sorry, kaki no tane and green tea are the two products that I listed in my. Sorry if I'm talking business, but like I said, I have latitude. I can go anywhere I want with this video. It's my journal, after all. On the eBay store, I want the eBay store to be a highly curated antique place, an antique store. Like, there's some beautiful antique stores that my wife and I frequent here in the Shizuoka area, and you go into them and they're highly curated. I can't overuse that word enough. They're highly curated to create an experience when you go in. I mean, like our favorite one is down in Shimizu, where they actually built the antique store in a Showa era apartment building. They took over the whole 4-unit apartment building. It's like a working class neighborhood. They took over the whole 4-unit apartment. Great idea they had. Took over the whole 4-unit apartment building, converted the parking spaces for the cars into a parking lot for their store, and they started room by room remaking this apartment building into an antique store. And they've got a cafe on the first floor, and the antique store, and they're expanding as they go by, year by year. It's a husband and wife. They're our age, and their grown son, who is our daughter's age, maybe a little older than our daughter. They've taken a completely different tact in life, right? I mean, I think they're retired like us, and they decided to create this store. But you walk into this, you just walk onto the premise, you walk onto the grounds, you drive into it, and you're taken back 50 years into the mid-Showa period. You're back in the 60s, and it's the 60s era Japan. And in the apartment building, they've carefully restored back all of the beautiful old, even though it was an apartment building, a highly functional structure. The natural wood is there, the tatami rooms. It's really stunning. But of course, it doesn't have tatami mats because you can't. Well, you could, but they convert it. It's got hardwood floors. Anyway, my point is, when you go into their store, which is called Yuichiro, when you go into Yuichiro, you're going back in time, and you're having a highly curated experience of old Japan. And it's an antique store where everything's for sale, and a lot of the items from my store come from them because they have my taste. Their tastes so equally match my own, the taste of what I want to convey in your store. So my point is, on eBay, I want that experience for people. When they're seeing my YouTube videos, not eBay, I said eBay, but I meant YouTube. When people are watching my YouTube videos, I want them to see items below the videos that are these very special items, these very beautiful antiques. I don't want, as much as I love selling green tea and snacks, I don't want antique potato chips, right? That kind of a thing. So eBay, sorry, I keep saying eBay, YouTube will remain that highly curated place. The only inventory items, whenever I say inventory, I mean items that I can buy once, create a listing, and then sell over and over again, and I don't have to list again. Snacks, stuff like that. Those things will all go on eBay. eBay will be the merchandise store. YouTube will be the antique store. So I did yesterday, after yesterday's successful listing of both an antique in the morning and then an inventory item in the afternoon, which turned out to be easier than I thought it was going to be, thanks to some help that I got from a custom ChatGPT AI that I had curated and created. Again, using that word. It was a lot of work to create that GPT that is helping me to do some research and translate the Japanese. That really worked well. So I did that listing in the afternoon, and I was so pleased with myself. Thank you very much again. This is my journal video. I can be as pleased with myself as I want. I'm typically just as equally disappointed in myself when I earn it. I was so pleased with myself that I decided to celebrate by weeding the garden. Let me turn the camera on and show you. So this is my balcony here. And my little standing desk. And then down here, that's my backyard part. Do you see how all the ground is nice and clean of all weeds? And then over here, likewise. And then the flagstones. And then there's a trail that goes there behind the shed through the bamboo forest out to our garden, which is an absolutely enormous plot of land that I have only just begun to tame. Turns out it's also a very fruitful piece of land, yielding great quantities of vegetables. You just plant anything out there. It's an old farmland, and the ground has sat feral for 70 years since the war, and it's very rich. And you just plant something in the ground, and it just takes off. So I think this first year is just our experimental year. Next year, I'm going to really be going after the gardening in earnest. But anyway, I'm drifting again, aren't I not? Anyway, after I successfully listed that inventory item, Jerry's senbei basically, which I'll go and get another bag for you today, Jerry, I then rolled up my sleeves, put on my gear, and went out and spent, in the post-hottest part of the day, it wasn't the hottest part of the day, but it was still really hot and humid. I spent 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, weeding that, and I weeded the front yard too. If you watch today's Retiring in Japan video, you'll see some clips of me on my all fours with Rudy next to me. It wasn't so hot that Rudy couldn't be out there. He was okay. But it was me doing all this. I felt good while I was doing it. A little voice inside of me was saying, Kurt, watch out. You might be doing a little too much here. I was. By evening, after dinner, I was finished. I didn't feel good. I went for the dog walk with Yumiko and my wife, Yumiko and my sister-in-law. But I was very non-talkative because that's the next part. This first note says, managing feeling bad. That's the point of it. Remember, I'm here to talk about how I handled the challenging parts of the day. For the most part, yesterday was not very challenging until the very end when we went for the dog walk, and I really felt bad. And what I did to manage that was I told the ladies, I'm not feeling so good, I might peel off and go home a little early. Turns out that Yumiko and Yoko typically walk with Ollie. I walk with Rudy. Rudy's a very particular dog, so I typically walk behind them because he gets confused and disoriented, and I don't want him talking. He works better if he's just alone with me. So sometimes I'll kind of filter. I'll be close enough to them to talk, but sometimes I'll kind of filter back just to keep a little distance, because Rudy's also a little bit aggressive. When he gets scared, he can nip at people's heels. So you get the picture. So he and I were hanging back, and I told the ladies I might peel off and go home. I'd wave at him. I'd say, I'm taking off. I'm going if I did, but I didn't because Rudy wanted to continue following them. It's a love-hate thing. So I did the whole walk, and I really felt bad, but the thing was, I managed feeling bad. What that means is I told Yoko and Yumiko I'm not feeling good, so that if they see me behaving poorly, they know it's because I'm not feeling good. They know if I decide to go home, it's because I'm not feeling good. It's nothing to do with them. Nobody, I'm not feeling moody. I just don't feel good because I overdid it. And Yumiko even said so. As soon as I said I might go home, she said, "You overdid it again, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." That's an example of managing feeling. That's an example of using the principles in my creed to a good effect, to using hashtag, as I always do, temperance to control the emotion when it rises. Hashtag reason to manage, come up with a plan, namely to peel off and go home and to communicate that. Hashtag family, hashtag social principle, to communicate that to the others, my stakeholders in this project, to let them know. And I executed that plan accordingly. And I maintained my balance, doing one thing at a time. I didn't listen. I had my headphones with me because I thought if I peeled off from them, I might listen to some music as I walked home. I didn't put my headphones in. I just focused hashtag one thing at a time. I just did one thing, carefully walking Rudy home as we went. And it went well. So that's a good example. I'm going to give myself 5 stars. Sometimes I give myself a rating. That was a 5-star event. I saw the issue approach. I controlled the emotions. I came up with a plan in spite of the fact that I was feeling terrible, and I executed that plan to very good effect. My second note here is good, de- um, good determined day. I think that's what that says. And it said it's in notes here, feels like work. Yesterday was a strange day. It was probably the most fulfilling, it was the most work-like day I think that I've had since I retired. Insofar as there was no latitude for anything else. Like every day I'm doing stuff, and if I'm working on my antique store or something like that, I still have at least half a day with total free time to do anything I want. Sure, I had that hour and a half that I could have done. I worked in the garden that could have been free, but it didn't feel that way. I felt like I was home. I felt like because I didn't finish work until like 4:30. So you see what I mean? I was like the work day was done. It really felt like a full day of work yesterday. Boy, that felt good. Call me addicted to work if you like, and I'll accept that. It felt like work and it felt good, but then I realized in the aftermath that there was a big difference between a full day of work like this and a full day of work of what I did before. Insofar as this work doesn't include the component, or not very much, of the component of stress. Whereas what I did before, and Tim, Evelyn, others who are out there who are similar age in this retired state or semi-retired state will relate. It's another thing to do that thing sans stress. It turns out the work is very fulfilling in addition to being sustaining, but it comes at the price of stress. It's like having a fortifying cup of coffee, black coffee, and then pouring in 5 heaping tablespoons of sugar to sweeten it up. That's what working in the normal workaday feels like. Sure, this will fuel you up. It'll make you feel good, but it comes at a great cost due to the sugar mainly. That's what work under the normal circumstances. It's fulfilling. It feels good. It feels the caffeine hit, the caffeine boost, but then at what cost due to the sugar? That's the stress that comes of it. Working like this, though, where I don't have to sustain a household anymore. I don't have to raise a kid anymore. I can just work, and I don't have to work if I don't want to. That's a very different thing. That feels like work. It's like a full cup of dark coffee, but with not the sugar in it, and I don't want the need for it. And if I've been able to diverse myself from the want or the need of the sugar anymore. That might be a weak analogy, but I think it gets the point across, right? This is a case of having our cake and eating it too. Now, of course, what would be better is if I can wean myself away from this seeming necessity of work, which comes of the fact that it's all I've ever done. Even though I thought I was one of those, I really genuinely thought I was one of those persons who had a rich life outside of work. It turns out I didn't. I had a very narrow life outside of work, which involved walking and thinking, which are my taglines, which is, it's not enough in retirement. And I don't want anything else. I don't want hobbies for the most part. Maybe I'll change my mind about that. Don't want friends. No? Maybe I'll change my mind about that. So that leaves me with many hours a day, sans hobbies, sans friends. And what to do? Well, I found what to do. It's to work. To work again. And that's good, and that'll sustain me for now. I found my fix. I found my cup of coffee, sans the sugar. So good. I've covered then everything I wanted to say for yesterday. Let's go over the creed. The creed from my book consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles that I use to help live my life in the direction that I want to live. These objectives are the things that I want to do and be in the course of my day-to-day. There are 8 of them. The first one is to be always ready to die, which means I need to have my all my paperwork in order, my bank accounts, and all this information communicated to my wife and daughter, so that if I were to die, that my wife, namely, will be safe and sustained till the end of her days. And that is. The second component of that is to not have any, bad relationships that I could fix, that I'm not taking an effort to fix, and I don't have any relationships like that now. And the third is to have my life's work in a, if not complete, at least in a clean state. And my life's work is complete, being raising of my daughter and the writing of my book. So yeah, I'm ready to die. My second objective is to make good and effective use of my time, to not waste my days, and yesterday was a model day. My third objective is to do just one thing, is to develop and maintain good principles and objectives, which I did when I wrote my book, and then I sustain that every day by thinking about my objectives and principles every single day. Now, during this exercise coming up next, so I'm doing right now. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, so that I don't react poorly when life throws me a curveball. Number 5 is to perform good actions relative to my values. Number 6 is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And number 7 is to know my true limits and true opportunities. I got those backwards, didn't I? Number 6 is recognizing true limits and true opportunities, so I know what is beyond my reach. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And number 8 is to achieve a state of balance in both body and mind, which comes of attendance to the preceding 7 objectives. As for the principle, let's read from the book. And by the way, I did get a comment over on goingalone.org, which I'll respond to today. Someone asking me where they can find the most up-to-date list of all the principles in the book, because they have an old copy of Going Alone before I had all 35 principles laid out. If you happen to see this video, or if anyone else is interested, you can find all of these principles and objectives laid out in the description of this of this video. If you watch the video, down in the description, everything's laid out there. Also, you can find the complete list at goingalone.org. Excuse me. Okay, next is the principle of family, sub-principle of catalyst. Our people make up the context of our lives in terms of purpose, obligation, mission, feedback, support, and ultimately, the best and almost intangible part of being alive. We begin with the people to whom we are born, the chance family which we gain by accident of birth. We grow then with the family we later decide, our friends and our partners, and our spouse and our children we in turn together make. From these we gain our decided mission and our direction and our guidance forward, for better or worse, for richer or poor, in sickness and in health, till death or very good cause do us part. Without this connection and circumstance, we can still live a rich and meaningful life, though the way may be harder at times as we strive with less mandate, catalyst perhaps, to compel us through thick and thin, less necessity to push us out of the door to our jobs on days when we'd rather not, and through many years and decades of hard work, sacrifice, and giving, the very selfless endeavors which yield virtue from the dawning chaos of our lives, rising and falling and one day utterly failing. And if, once dead, we've left behind the fact and echo of our virtuous living within the family we formed and supported and maintained, then our life will hardly have been lived in vain, even if everything is eventually one day in vain. I think I read this 2 days in a row, didn't I? That's all right. So family becomes the context in which the nucleus encasing the mitochondria, if you will, of our endeavoring, not only sustaining us and giving us a forum in which we can refine our actions and our responses, utilize our principles to the most genuine ends, but also then become something, if we desire, something to be left behind when we're gone, an echo to pass through into generations to come. Although not very far, never very far. Okay, as for the next 24 hours, I have another shipment. Jerry, I'm going to ship your box, and another product listing. That's about it. Let's go ahead and begin. Let's start with the temperature check and humidity. Now it's about probably about 6 a.m. right now, and it's 26 degrees Celsius, just dipping into the red zone, and 80% humidity. Red and just starting to get red. It's going to be a hot one and uncomfortable day. So I am not going to repeat my mistake from yesterday. I'm going to manage, I'm going to sustain and maintain and not go out in that heat again at midday. Let's read comments. Hi, Michael. Hi, Heather. Hi, Robert. Hi, Tim. Hello, Erica. Hoping you and Yumiko have a wonderful day. Thank you. Hello, Erica says hi to everybody. Hi, Heather. You reclaimed your backyard. I sure did, Heather. Yeah, it took a lot of work, but now that I've got it reclaimed, I'm finding that if I just go out there and do piecemeal, I've got this new little tool that Yumiko bought. I borrowed it from her, stole it from her, and it really helps to weed a lot. It's like shaving the ground. It works really well. I just have to keep on top of it now. Heather says, when Rudy's sad past rears its sad face, he's so loved too. He's a one-man pupper too. He definitely is, and he did have a very sad past. And sometimes as I see him sitting there beside me, I remember that, and I feel very fortunate that I'm glad that he was able to get out of that, and that he has the comfort that he has now. Tim says, I did the same the other week in the heat wave. 30 C in the garden, working away, and I knew I would regret it. And sure enough, reminds me of the saying, mad dogs and Englishmen in the midday sun. I've never heard that saying. Mad dogs and Englishmen in the midday sun. What a wonderful phrase. Thank you for sharing that, Tim. I'm sorry that you experienced that. I'm glad you recovered. Let's both be careful, huh? Tim goes on, stressed, most definitely so. There are still days where you have concerns, but stress is non-existent now. I think the thought of working again, that might bring that type of stress back. I think it would bring it back in an instant. And I think that our defenses, you and me both, Tim, might be down, and we might not be as practiced in managing that stress. Not to say that we couldn't regain it, but I don't know, it would be a painful experience, don't you think? I couldn't go back to that environment. I don't think I could either, Tim. Evelyn says, hi guys, sometimes I'm still in the work environment, but in a very limited capacity. I pick up shifts when I feel like it, and only work in areas that I like. Is a whole other ballgame. Smart move, Evelyn. That's the way I do it if I go back. And you know I'm trying. Robert says hi to Evelyn. Evelyn says hi. Robert chimes in with temperature, 28C, 37% humidity in Nathanie, Ontario, Canada, about 2 hours east of Toronto. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds not so bad. 28 sounds like it's a bit warm, but the humidity is totally manageable, huh? Sounds like a pleasant day or a pleasant evening for you. Evelyn, and that's because I have trouble giving up the concept of working even after almost 2 years. Yeah, me too. Well, you know what it is? I keep saying it's that it's all I've ever known how to do, right? It's the thing. Work is what I am. Work is what I've always done. I don't know anything else. Maybe if I was raised, if I practiced doing something else, I don't know. But it's good because it built up an ethic. But is it a useless ethic? Like with the old plowmen of the old days, getting up at 3:30 in the morning to go out and plow the field with the horse and the ox and the wooden plow, that way of life. And if you did that for all these years, and then suddenly someone introduced a tractor, said, you can do your whole day's worth of plowing in 2 hours with this air-conditioned tractor. Would that plowman, what would they do with themselves, right? Sure, they go out there, maybe they feel like they're working when they're in the tractor for 2 hours, and they'd enjoy the air conditioning, but after that, they'd be just like us, right? It's like, well, what have I spent my whole life doing? I'm a plowman, after all. And Tim says, quick weather check, 10 p.m., 16C, 16C. Wow, that's cool. 73% humidity, a little windy. Wow. It's interesting how very different we all are. Heather is 81 degrees, and we went to the California. So 81, I think that would be, that's like in the 30s. It's funny how I'm from California, and I have to kind of cross back the other way. I mean, it's funny, 81 degrees makes perfect sense to me, but for some reason I've trained myself now to start thinking in C. Heather says, 81 degrees today. We went to the California State Fair. They did an amazing job on the farm area this year. I'm jealous over their garden. Ooh, that sounds nice. Mad Dogs and an Englishman was a song by Noel Coward about the English gentry in hot colonial countries out in the hot sun. Mad Dogs and Englishmen. That's amazing. I love that. Well, we finished the day, gotten through the comments here, and I did all the things. As I started to do yesterday, I'll tell you what I'm going to list today. Because I'll be listening as soon as I'm done with you guys. I'll do the video for it. This is an Oni, Japanese ogre bell, ceramic, and it does, I wouldn't call it a ring as much as a rattle. I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm just sharing if you're curious what I'm up to. And it's got isn't that cool, Heather? Yeah, I thought you might find this interesting. You'd find stuff like this. Onis aren't always bad. Sometimes they're bad, but sometimes they could be like bad cop, good cop, bad cop thing. There's an area in Japan up in the east, on the northwest coast that is, of the main island here in Honshu, where they have there's a Setsuban is the festival where the men of the community will dress up as ogres, and they'll charge into it's kind of terrifying. They'll charge into the houses looking for children and threatening the children that if they don't behave, they're going to take them away into the woods. It's absolutely terrifying. But remember, it's from the old days, and then the parents will ply the men with sake to make them go away, and then they'll throw soybeans at them to make them go away, saying, ogres go away, luck come in. And I might be confusing that with another tradition. Anyway, it's a festival kind of thing. And back in the old days, it was just hard to make kids strong, right? And listen to their damn parents. This comes from the back in the old days, when if everybody didn't listen and follow the mandate, people died. I mean, you just died. You just sustenance farming. I mean, you just didn't mess around. So yeah. But now nobody would do that. But anyway, so that the ogres in that case are helping out. You'll see ogres, kind of like ogres sometimes at guarding things, and you'll see statues at temples and things like that. Although those are more like gods, ogre-looking gods. Anyway, this is called an akaoni, a red ogre. And I like this, and you can kind of sit on its own. I'll be listing that shortly. See a few more comments. Heather likes this one. What a great face on that one. Isn't that nice? Have you been seeing all the news about all the volcanoes? No, I haven't. I'm afraid I don't really follow the news anymore. Some countries still do that, but for different holidays. They got their butts whooped, too. Yeah, they did. If you're talking about the ogres, are you talking about the ogres or the kids? I don't know. Oh, you mean back in the old days, they would, the corporal discipline. Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to. All right. Well, Mount Rainier waking up, Yellowstone acting up. Oh, okay. No, I wasn't aware of any of that. Wow. All right, everybody. Well, not sure about volcanoes, but I know a 6 to 7.3 earthquakes along the Ring of Fire. Sounds like the Earth is waking up, huh? Moonlight 88. Haven't seen you for a while. Hi there. Good to see you. And have a great day. Hope you manage to stay cool. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. Wishing you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.